that nice of me?
Any chips?
Why, of course. I believe there's a whole bag.
Well, I'm almost sure of it.
Hey, what the hell are you doing? Hell, you little shit! When you get down to me, I'm gonna rip your fucking head off! Ben! Help! Ben! Ben, get the hell out of here! Ben! Help! Ben! Ben! Ben!
How's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah!
Woo! All right, my name's Mike. I'm from the East Coast Horror Group. My partner Drew Seidler from the East Coast Horror Group. Come on up, Drew.
Old Drew Bulls.
Welcome to the Sleepaway Camp panel. First off, let's welcome up Felissa Rose.
Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
Next, Mr. Jonathan Tiersten.
Woo! Old John Bull.
Come on, hot stuff. Come sit next to me. We have a couch. We can show them what we've been doing for 33 years.
Apparently working out.
This is going to be an hour of torture.
Sorry, was I looking at your legs?
All right, let's start off with an easy one. How did you both get involved in the film?
Well, I had been in acting for all of a year. I got started on a Pepsi commercial where the Pepsi Cola people came to my high school and auditioned basically the entire high school. And for some reason I got it and ended up being a commercial with Gabriel Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter. And so it was, you know, for me it was, after a year, it was pretty much a normal audition except for the fact that the director was there and asked me to tell him off. And I said, really? And I had a lot of pent-up rage. And I think his hair turned gray from the moment I let loose. I remember having to stop myself. And I walked out and I had 2 girlfriends with me in New York and I said, I think I got that. There you have it.
How about you, Felissa?
Well, I was just like, you know, every other little girl. I liked to sing and dance, and my parents were typical, like, I had a stage mom who was like, oh, let's get her into acting, let's get her a manager. And it was my first audition, and I went in and I met with Robert, and he wanted me to just sit and stare and eat a candy bar. And, you know, it was like...
You didn't tell him about your skill, though.
What's that?
You don't blink.
Well, you know, I can really stare for a long period of time without blinking. So I guess that helped me. And I think, you know, it was just like any kind of relationship. When you meet somebody and you really like the person, we connected right away. And it was, you know, just one of those things. It was meant to be.
It's the antithesis of the two of us. It's weird.
He's a pain in the ass.
So you guys obviously get along really well. So,
We had our moments.
but when you guys met on the set, you guys became a little more than castmates. Is that true?
When I first met Jonathan, I was 13 years old, and you know, just the hormones raging. I thought he was the cutest
Hormones
boy.
are supposed to rage at 13.
For me, they're still raging. I was like, wow, he's so cute. And, you know, it was like, I just wanted to,
Kiss me.
yeah, I wanted to make out with him. I feel like I'm doing therapy with you guys.
She was so stunning. And what people don't realize is that when she wasn't Angela, she was dressed and made up as Felissa, and she looked older than 13. She did not look like a girl who was 13. she wasn't wearing ace bandages around her boobs. And she was very funny and sweet and hopelessly attractive. And I was 17. You want to talk about raging hormones? And so yeah, we had a little bit of a romance.
But then he dumped me. The hot chicks came on the set to do, I don't know if you guys have seen it, the volleyball scene. So they brought up all these extra girls, and they were really 17. And they were in their little short shorts, like, ah! And Jonathan just totally dropped me. And my little 13-year-old heart was like crushed.
It's a true story.
How did that affect production at all?
They stopped.
They stopped it.
We halted. We had a day of no filming.
Yep. They had to lock us in a room.
So, this is a little out of order, but you talked about the volleyball scene.
You're out of order.
Yes. Why did we need 20 minutes of a baseball game?
Oh, well,
We so did not
we
need
did.
that.
No, and see, she and I have disagreed on this forever. And the baseball scene is absolutely integral to understanding what camp is. And I will say this specifically by my own experience. Because when I was at Sleepaway Camp, I was a star baseball player who, because my parents were divorced and hated each other, they ripped me out of my summer league of baseball where I was the star pitcher and I had won every game. And I get to Sleepaway Camp, first time without my brothers, I'm crying every day. I'm so unbelievably miserable. I think I was 13. And so they finally decided to play softball, and my counselor says to me, "Can you play?" You know, and you know how small I was, so he was like, you know, incredulous. And I said, "I can play." But I had played baseball, I didn't play softball, and so there was a pop fly hit to me in center field, my baseball cap, and I missed it. It hit my glove and bounced behind my head, and he benched me, took me out of the game.
This is as long as the scene in the movie.
No, but my point
I love
being,
you. I joke because
I know,
love
but my
you.
point being is that, and I've said this about Sleepaway Camp, and Felissa knows this, I've said it a million times, I said, it captured what camp is like
We still
better than
made it.
any
It was
movie
still
before or since, and
Still too
that
long.
baseball show. That baseball scene is so
Shut the
important
fuck
to
up.
capturing what
Sorry,
camp
there
is.
are kids in the room.
That makes sense now.
Stop dropping F-bombs, you know? They're children, Jesus.
It's rated S.
I mean, this is a movie about a chick with a dick. I think we're okay with that.
Easy now. Gosh.
It's actually the prequel to Transparent. No, that was Patrick.
It's the great irony in life
prequel to
that she's the one with
Transparent.
the potty mouth in real life.
So
It's true.
most of the 80s slashers movies have been remade, rebooted 1,000 times by now, but not only does the movie stand up well
You're gonna get us to
still,
fight again.
why do you think that most of the major film networks have decided to not remake this film? Because obviously it's a great one.
Oh, they have.
You know, the problem, not a problem, but Robert Hiltzik, the original writer-director, is holding on so tightly to the rights and to the sentimental value. It's just something he can't seem to kind of like go with in terms of allowing a studio to come in.
Which I'm all good with.
Yes, you are. And we'd all be fine with remaking the movie.
Except me.
I mean, do you guys want to see it remade? I don't know. Some want it, some don't.
One out of like 60.
No, there were like 4. I just think it's fine if it's remade, put it in the right hands, and we'll get a great movie out of it. And ultimately, when you do remake a film, like all the others in the 80s, you bring a whole new generation and a whole new audience to see the original film. That's what's super cool also. Like I have kids, so if, you know, when Friday the 13th remake comes out, we show them the original, you know. It's cool to kind of see the
And
juxtaposition.
then we have drinks with the guy who produced this movie.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Hey, you know, whatever they do, it's Hollywood. They can make up their minds as to what they want to do. I'm a little sad that the whole reunion idea never got done, because I think that might be fun. You know, when you put, you know, it's funny, Felissa and I have now done 2 films together since Sleepaway Camp, and yet we have not been on screen at the same time. And I think if you got us on screen at the same time as the actors that we are, I think then that might be really interesting. You know, whether it's about Sleepaway Camp or not, I don't really care.
We've done 3 actually.
What?
We were.
What was it there? Oh, I forgot about
I
the
think
first
you're
one.
hearing it. We
No,
were in
4.
Return to Sleepaway Camp.
4.
The Perfect House.
4.
What else? Blood Reservoir.
Perfect House, Blood Reservoir, and Sleepaway Camp. So 4.
Return to Sleepaway.
Anyway, whatever she said.
I'm like an old married couple.
No, but my you know, with regard to remakes and stuff like that, you know, they're gonna happen. If there's money out there, they're gonna happen. So it doesn't make much sense to not sort of embrace it if they do. And, you know, the only way I feel about the Sleepaway Camp remake is that if Felissa is not involved as a producer, then I'd be angry. That's all I'd say. Because that is something that she is actively doing now. So.
All right.
Woo!
Yeah!
A whole new crop of horror films coming to you from Carol Co. Pictures.
Yeah, if you guys don't remember Carol Co., they were the ones who did the Rambo movies and then the Terminator movies. And they just recently had
Basic
a
Instinct.
reboot, and they hired this one.
We don't know why.
Me
We're just
neither.
going with it. We're going with it.
So how do you think Sleepaway Camp was able to stand up against other 80s slasher films?
I don't think it stood up. I think it stood out.
Nice answer.
Yeah.
So why do you think
I
it
think
stood
I
out?
stood up.
I mean, I've listened for years about people saying it was about the ending, and that's absurd. Why would anyone watch a movie 100 times if it were about the ending? It's just, it wouldn't be the case.
It was so provocative. I mean, in the 80s, you know, here we are. It's like we're talking about all, you know, a transvestite 13-year-old serial killer with, you know, dealing with her father who was involved with another man, trying to figure out her own sexuality. If you look at all of the subtext, all of the homoerotic undertones, everything mixed up, it is not just like a, you know, slasher film. There's a lot of themes going on and a lot of, you know, sort of social commentary, and I think that's what resonates with audiences, I believe.
Yeah, I agree, and 100%. I mean, you know, what would Tina Fey be mentioning it in Mrs. Bossy Pants? Would the Nerdist be talking about it? Would Eli Roth write me a personal note saying Sleepaway Camp is like a fine Bordeaux? It only gets better with age. Retroactive Oscars are a must. I memorized it. You know. And you know, what's her name? Margaret Cho, again, another person who was just a Sleepaway Camp diehard. And the people I've gotten to know in the industry, Ron Oliver, etc., who grew up as Sleepaway Camp fans. And I mean, the movie speaks to people, I think, on a lot of levels, and it's certainly not about the ending.
And in no way are we trying to say, like, this is Citizen Kane, this is a masterpiece. You know, we know what it is. But I think that we feel like there's a reason why we're here. And we thank you guys so much, because it's been 33 years of an amazing, I get all emotional about it because it's been,
it makes us look old.
So incredible, this journey. I mean, I did something at 13 years old, and I'm, you know, I'm excited that I'm sitting here talking about it. It's kind of cool, you know? So thank you guys, thank you.
You guys talked about some of the, you know, some of the themes that were in there. Obviously, I mean, you're killing kids, which is even something you can't do nowadays in films, really, and the transvestite aspect. Was there any troubles post-production trying to get it produced because there was some disturbing material like that you don't see?
Well, Robert was terrified that he was going to get an NC17 rating and not, you know, R. And he tells the story, and he says they never even questioned it. They just went, oh, R.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that was easy. You know, I think sometimes movies fly under the radar. I think The Perfect House did the exact same thing, because it's on the shelves at Walmart all over the place, and Felissa's scene is so horrific and brutal. And I was like, that cannot be on the shelves at Walmart. My son picked it up. I was like, put that down. You will not watch that until you're 100. And after I'm dead, I'm leaving that in my will. Yeah, I think maybe sometimes things slipped under the radar, which is weird because there were television commercials for it. As you know, Felissa and I were here. We're sitting watching, like, you know, I Dream of Jeannie, you know, and Sleepaway Camp, boom, it's like, you will not be coming home. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the location in New York. It was all outdoors, so what were the challenges you guys faced shooting outdoors?
Yeah, it was cold, so when the boys, were naked, they had to go in the cold water. And
What
the
are you trying to
trees,
say?
yeah, well, like, I won't, I'll be very
George
nice.
Costanza? What?
Right, exactly. The leaves were changing, so they definitely had some obstacles in trying to make it still look, like a summer film. And, it was just really cold. We were outside at camp September and October, and we were freezing.
Oh my God, it was so brutally cold at night. I cannot, and when I did the scene in the tank, because I was the body double, the hands, everything. I was like Robert's little slave. And when the scene where you're supposed to be drowning Kenny, and I'm in that tank, and for hours, and it's like 35 degrees outside, and the water is absolutely ice cold, and I was just like, this is the worst night of my life. I could not believe it.
Robert liked to torture Jonathan.
Loved it. Still does.
So for those that might be too young to remember the 80s clothing, did people really wear that shit?
Those were my clothes. And I had the longest damn shorts in the damn thing. It just seemed that almost every other actor was gay. And so they liked to be as short as possible. And they were doing push-ups.
Ronnie's sweatsuit, the
Oh.
red sweatsuit.
We were embarrassed. I couldn't eat with him.
You'd lose
The
your
pea
own
shooter, flying out at me, and his 240 pills that he took with every meal. And I love Paul, but my gosh, holy mackerel. I mean, and those were his clothes. That you can't buy wardrobe like that. Nobody would be able to find it. And
It was pathetic. They had us bring our own clothes, so we would pack.
yeah, they got me some
pack-
stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Like the Yankee shirt, because I'm a Mets fan. There's no way in hell I would ever wear a Yankee. I think the freaking cowboy hat.
Oh, that was sad. The
Cowboy hat.
That scene.
Oh, the cowboy hat. I protested. I was like, Ricky would never wear that. He's like, Ricky's gonna wear that. I'm like, no, Ricky isn't.
Oh, Ricky did.
Yeah, and if you notice the scene, it's so big, it's wobbling on my head as I'm shaking back and forth. Maybe I can just throw it off. She's laughing because she knows I was like rebellious the whole film. I was a problem.
A big problem. Still is, but he was bigger than.
Yeah, so anyway, we didn't get to the specifics of that they locked us into a room and that sort of
He wants to go
No,
back.
because it's funny, because it's, in real life we're the opposite. She does all the talking and I just sort of sit there and take it. And she tore me a new asshole, and then we were done.
And it hasn't changed in 33 years.
So setting up for that last scene, just a couple of things. When did you learn you were going to have a penis?
I knew immediately. They sent me to my I read the script. I had to go read the script, and I saw the last page. It said, she stands up and reveals her genitalia. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Haven't seen that. So, am I
You
going
didn't
to
know what genitalia
meant? I thought it was like, had something to do
You
with
thought of like My Little Pony?
And originally they wanted to have me wear the penis. That's what was so odd. They asked my mom, could she just stand there nude and we'll strap a penis on?
Too young, though, I imagine, right?
Well, I had tits.
Oh, let's look at the movie we're talking about here, okay? Do you really think they were worried?
And my parents were like, yeah, sure, put it on, strap it on, it's all good. Let us know how it works out. It's like, kind of, back were they smoking? No, I knew
Your
right
mother
away.
was like,
Yeah, just go, just do it. So we did, and I knew right away, and
so no, the mask, you gotta explain.
and then they decided, Ed French, the special effects artist, decided we cannot make a penis and stick it on her. That just, it's not gonna look right. And so they made a mask of my face. So all the close-ups are my face, and then the far away shots with him standing fully naked, he's wearing the mask of my face. But in finding that boy, that was the challenge, because he had to be my height, my weight, willing to shave his whole body, 18 years old to do nudity. He had to fit into that little thin little girl mask. How humiliating.
Yeah, he
Putting
was so
a
happy,
13-year-old girl mask on, fully naked in front of a crew.
Yeah, who was the only person on set for that?
And he got $250, and this one was there.
I was there.
They were drunk.
He was crying like something out of a Greek
Hysterical.
tragedy. And it was the makeup lady and the wardrobe lady were the ones shaving his body, which I'm
And
sure
he had,
was
like,
not all too
Bottle
pleasant.
of Jameson just gone.
Yeah, they were just, no, it was Jack Daniels.
Don't give a shit, but he was crying.
But he was crying hysterically, and I was also crying, but with laughter.
Finally, somebody else was being tortured.
As I'm standing by the heat lamp on the beach, going, what a loser. And I remember thinking, God, who would do that? Man, this guy's got to be really hard up for 250.
Truth is, it was Jonathan.
Nah, they never would have been able to fit it in the shot.
What do you mean by that?
What are you trying to say? So it was really it was a weird evening. I gotta say, I think that the wardrobe, Eileen and Susie felt pretty bad about what they did to this poor guy. But I remember thinking when I watched the movie the first time, when you see that her face doesn't move, it sort of goes to the scene of where I'm standing there with the wig on in the hall, where I'm like, and only since the Blu-ray has come out do these things look even more obvious. Where I'm like, man, nobody's gonna buy this shit. And I was like, that's ridiculous, and it just apparently, the rest of the movie sets it up so well that nobody cares. Apparently, it's been 3 years. You dummy.
So, when the film came out, and obviously reviews came out and reactions, what were some of your favorites that might have come up from reviewers and such?
I can't remember any reviews. I mean, I think probably anybody who was reviewing it hated it. And I think the audiences, decided to keep it on in the theaters because it was huge. It was a huge success. It was a movie that in 1982, $350,000 to make it, it made $11 million. Let's do the math. It was successful.
Now it's up to 25.
And we saw 35 cents, so it was just great.
But that's because we're righteous people.
Oh, yeah.
No, there was one. It was the New York Times.
Oh, what they say?
Because you wouldn't read that paper.
And you did?
No, and they loved it. They said it was something akin to a twisted delight. And I thought that was very, very astute and interesting. And I don't know that it was that common for indie films to get reviews back when we did it. But it did. The movie ran in theaters for 17 weeks. That doesn't happen. It didn't happen even back then. And here I was at NYU as a freshman, and I had to walk by a theater with the movie playing for most of my first semester. No, it wasn't, because it's when New York City was dangerous, and so these guys would
You
walk
were
up to
in
me
the shorts,
and say,
and that's
"Yeah, you
problem.
play Ricky, Dad, you play Ricky," and I'm like, "I don't have any money." Seriously, I don't have any money. But yeah, I mean, I don't think. I don't think anything ever got reviewed other than like, you know, first run big time Hollywood movies. It really wasn't common. And most of our reviews, if you look on, you know, Rotten Tomatoes now, which I think we're at 82%, which is pretty freaking outrageous, which is like higher than, I'm trying to think of some, what's that? Schindler's List, okay? It's pretty crazy because now the reviews that we get are just insanely awesome. And that's why I look back on, and I mean, it's probably my one thing that drives me a little nuts is when people wrote reviews saying it was just about the ending. Because I was just like, and that's why I kind of went off on Kevin Smith when he said that on his talk show a couple months ago. I was like, and then I was like, first of all, you directed Jersey Girl. Okay, and I was on a plane and I was trapped. And you did that to George Carlin, who's my hero. So you should die first. Second, how on earth? And he's like to explain the film. He goes, well, he goes, there's no way to explain the fucking fucker of the fucking ending fucking fucker. I was like, you know, dude, it's called an adjective. And that might help you with your script writing.
Damn.
And somebody said to me, you know, because I'm friends with, what's his name, Brian O'Halloran, whatever, from Clerks, and I was just like, I don't fucking give a shit. It's so embarrassing to me when somebody discounts it because it's not right. And because I have friends who are insanely eloquent and astute, and they see that movie and they go, man, that shit is absolutely twisted from beginning to end. And if you don't see that, then you're an idiot. Just my feeling.
There was one scene we talked about pushing the envelope when the kids arrived at camp and the cooks are outside, and one guy said we call them baldies. I remember watching it the first time. I was like, holy shit, that just happened.
Well, but just let's think about it. I mean, really, we've reverted back because most women shave now.
And there you have it.
This is what I had to deal with.
He wouldn't have been a pedophile if that were the case. I came to a reasonable conclusion.
Well, we're on the topic of pedophilia.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the point? You guys are acting like that's weird. Do you think this movie maybe bent me in some way?
What was the reaction from some of your family and friends from such a exploitive film?
Holy shit, what was that? Yeah, I mean, it was crazy from my perspective. My brother still says it was really hard for him to grow up as the brother of the chick with the dick. That was just really hard.
Maybe dating her.
Yeah, it's just, I embrace it and I love it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, because she has her own penis, which is nice. She doesn't need other ones. No, I mean, honestly, it was, and Felissa and I have talked about this, as you guys might imagine, because we've been friends for so long, at length. My parents didn't give a fucking rat's ass. I'm pretty sure my mom hasn't seen it. It was just, in my family, really nobody cared. They still probably don't. It just is what it is. So, I mean, but I understand where she was coming from. She went back and there were a bunch of mean girls in high school who were so mean to her. I went back thinking I was gonna get laid, and that didn't happen. But I think what you went through was probably way worse, I would think.
Girls could be really mean at that age, We're dealing with 8th and 9th grade. So it just makes you stronger. It didn't faze me. It was like
they're all fat and ugly now.
So we talked about in LA that you weren't really sheltered from a lot of the special effects that went down. Talk a little bit about what you remember, some of the best special effects.
I loved sitting. It's funny because when we did the chef, what's his name, Artie, they made a floor that looked just like this, and he was just laying down on it. It wasn't the floor in the actual kitchen. And I got to sit next to him with Ed French special effects, and they were pumping him with tubes and the gore and the blood and the bubbles, and it just looked so amazing. You really saw like the art form. I loved seeing these special effects. I saw a lot of it. They had me, no one sheltered. I mean, it was 82. I guess we were in a time when we sort of still ran free and without any kind of...
That's a lot of cocaine.
Yeah, that too. So it was just kind of, I saw it all and I thought it was super amazing, the making of a movie.
Yeah, I was hanging out with the effects guys all the time because they were making me do all the kills, and they gave me my favorite moment was they gave me a little badge. And that was my effects union badge. One of the things I remember from the first movie so vividly was that these people were so professional.
Yes.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, this was the crew from Creepshow, and they had literally come directly from Creepshow, and they had their shit down. The sound guy, the German guy, and then what was he from Finland? I think was the boom guy was the German guy, and the other guy's from Finland. But I remember they go, "Son, speak." Remember, he said that, "Speak." And I was like, that is the coolest thing in the world. Because at that point, you feel like you're in a movie. Like you're not shooting a movie, you're actually in one. Because it's like, this is surreal, And but they were so professional. And Ed French, of course. I mean, who went on to win an Oscar.
He's the coolest guy. I just had lunch with him last week, and he's the sweetest, most humble human being. And I just love that when somebody, just sort of...
And he worked on American Sniper.
Yeah, he just worked on American Sniper, and he was talking to me about how cool Bradley Cooper was, and he's a humble man. He does amazing things with his craft, and he's just cool.
Yeah, and before
So
American
nice.
Sniper, remember what he said to us? He goes, "I'm working on an Eastwood film."
Yeah, very,
That's all he said.
so low-key.
I'm like, in Eastwood film? I mean, it was, but they, the people who worked on Sleepaway Camp were really professional and very focused. Granted, $365,000, whatever it was, it wasn't a lot of money, but it's still 1982. So, I mean, there was a lot of thought that went into it.
Now, is there anything that you guys remember shooting that didn't make the film? Anything specifically that you guys were super pumped about?
No, because Robert said, film costs so much money that anything we shot, he was using. That was,
There was nothing cut, nothing. Except that I had to shoot the rooftop scene twice. Because it was raining the first time. Remember?
Little diva.
No, because it was raining.
They were tossing water balloons at me. I had to keep falling. But he had a little wing. Little rain. With his little denim shorts. Sorry. Did they get you an umbrella?
You want to touch my pee-pee?
So,
I had my own to touch.
so with all those kids on set, any funny behind-the-scenes antics that you guys?
Didn't we already get through that?
There's got to be something deeper, something.
Deeper?
Yeah, that was bad word to use, wasn't it? Parties, cabin
I
parties.
think the deal is, all right, you shut up.
The whole set was a party. It was teenage kids. We were making a movie, and we were out of control. That's what it was. Everybody was drunk. Everybody was in a hotel room, Motel 6, wasted. They usually kicked me out.
It was called the Glens Falls Motor Court. It was not a motor.
Yeah, we were in like a little area that had a laundromat, a movie theater,
The Grateful Dead had stayed there
the
week
liquor
before.
store, and
And a pool.
a laundromat
And a pool.
and a pool. And
But there was a
everybody got-
penny arcade, and that was the big thing. There was like a place that had pinball machines and all that stuff next to the supermarket. And so that's where I spent all of my time. But we raged pretty good. I didn't disrespect her.
We only made out, is what he's trying to say.
Yes.
That is clear.
It was only heavy petting.
All right.
So we talked about it hasn't been remade yet, but what do you guys think about some of the sequels and how did that become together?
I love them. I love Pamela Springsteen. I love the tone. I think they're really, really fun. Obviously, they're different, from the original, but I just think they were pretty badass, and she was hilarious.
You can answer for me.
Yeah, he's never seen. I don't even think he's seen Sleepaway Camp. So
No,
at
but I
this
never saw
point, he
Return.
never saw Return to Sleepaway Camp. I'm a horror fan. He's
An
kind
asshole.
of an idiot. it's all good.
You guys want to talk about Citizen Kane?
So,
Such a snob. I'll beat him for all of us later.
Of that, she is not lying.
in your opinions, what made the 80s the golden age of horror?
Cocaine.
We weren't, this was the beginning of the slashers, of, the Jasons, the Michaels. This was an important time. Horror made an impact with its, just the cinema that was coming out. It was unreal. And I say cinema because we were shooting on film and it was beautiful, and you had these great, glorious movies and we're being scared to death, and we hadn't yet come so numb to what we were watching, Today, you give us a Saw or a Hostel or, torture porn, which I love. But we're sort of like, oh, okay, that's crazy and weird and creepy, but we're not as affected. So I think we were more innocent. It was an innocent time. That's just how
I think that the slasher films of the 80s, they made a lot of sense because it was sort of a reaction to what was going on, in this country where we were becoming more reactionary. And so they were making films that were like even more provocative and scary and twisted and out of control because there was, Jerry Falwell and The Moral Majority and all this stuff coming around, and I think people were reacting to that, and I think directors naturally reacted to that, and thank God.
Jonathan, you actually moved on to a music career as well, so tell the fans about your work in the music industry.
It's, as Felissa knows, it's been my passion for a very, very, very long time. I used to deny being in Sleepaway Camp. I know, she makes me crazy. Or I make her crazy, excuse me. It's really just a part of me that is so important. I dream in music. And now that I'm able to sort of meld the two careers, it's been an absolute blessing, and I thank Felissa for that. And I look forward to performing live more often than I have in recent years. But I understand that this acting thing is something that I really missed and I truly adore. But I just released a new album last month. I was writing songs yesterday when I was home. They were terrible. But it's, that is I can't even, it's just who I am. There's actors who play music. That's not who I am.
And where can fans pick up the new album?
It's on iTunes, Amazon, and about a bajillion other places, but it's not under my name, it's under 10 Tiers, which is TEN, TIERS, 2 words, and it's called Family, and I think it's my best work yet, and I got but if you look me up on iTunes, I have about 60 songs on there, so, very often with Felissa's urging over the years, to be frank, she really has been in my court, as a musician, and that's pretty great.
So we have time for a few questions from the audience. Anybody have a question?
Yeah. Watching your films, how do you think that you gave, I'm sorry, I'm just getting nervous.
Oh, that's okay. Take a deep breath, deep breath.
Yeah. You gave a voice to the transgender. You gave a voice to homosexuality. You gave a voice to a lot of things. But now it seems like sometimes they want to close that voice on it. But y'all gave it an opening. What do y'all think about that? That y'all gave it that voice, and about bullying and everything, and it addresses all that in that one film.
Wow, well, thank you, first of all. I'm proud and happy if I could lend a voice or some kind of something to that big, beautiful world. I think it's just really important to have, to speak out and, I don't know, it's hard because as an actor, you're given these great roles and you do the best job you can do, and you're going to be critiqued for them. But if it's something special like Sleepaway Camp that has certain topics that need a voice, it's crucial to be sensitive to it, and I take it very seriously. I fucking hate bullying. Like, I want to fucking get out there and do anything I can. I have 3 children myself. So I'm very vocal in any, social media or what have you, that I'm very, I take it, it's...
I was bullied myself, and I found my outlet through horror movies because I could forget, what was going on in the real world, and so I thank y'all for that.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank
and I think
you.
that's
Thank
one of the things that I think is really the pervasive theme in that film. All of the transgender, transsexual stuff aside, which is, I never thought I would be, personal friends with so many people who are transgender, and yet I am. But really, it goes down to, how do you want to be treated? Everybody has stuff about themselves, that is vulnerable, and people don't. I don't understand it, and I guess it's there, it comes from parenting or whatever. I have a child as well, and I think I think, to me at least, Sleepaway Camp does send a pretty
You're
good
so
message.
beautiful.
No, thank you.
I want to beat the crap out of those kids, so we'll talk after.
Yeah.
That's why
I still have my curling iron.
Any other questions? Right there.
Love the movie. Love everything, the lines, the clothes, everything. One thing I have not been able to wrap my head around all these years, what's the deal with Mel and Ned?
They were in the characters were in a relationship.
You've never heard of a young woman, how about the divorce that just went on? How
I
about the
agree
divorce?
with you.
Wait,
We
hold
all
on,
agree.
hold on. How about the divorce that was just publicized all over the place on the internet and in mass media of the guy where he had to pay her, like $500 million. That man makes Mike Kellen look like Brad Pitt. Nelson Adelson rolls around in a freaking wheelchair and looks like his skin is made of paper mache, and yet controls the entire Republican Party. So what is your question? I'm sorry.
Well, he was theoretically losing the camp or being in trouble.
Well, she likes him because he owns the camp.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Anyone
I
else?
agree with you.
Favorite horror and non-horror movie?
My favorite horror movies, I love The Last House on the Left, is one of my favorites. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of the originals. I love The Exorcist, and I could go on and on and on. I love all. I've probably seen every, even if it was made in someone's basement, I like to watch it. And I love, oddly enough, I love Tootsie. I know this is so funny. Mrs. Doubtfire, I guess I, like that kind of.
The witness is not answering the question.
No, these are my favorite movies. I love those movies. I remember seeing Tootsie and thinking it was the greatest film in the
Okay,
world.
you want one of
And
each,
it's
though,
funny
right?
that it's, a man dressed as
I
a woman.
can't tell her what to do. Never works.
Never. Go ahead, what are yours?
Exorcist, Godfather.
Part 1?
Did I say part?
I will be now. Okay.
So what do you guys have in the works? The fans can look forward to?
We're both retiring.
It's breaking news right here.
I was just appointed this terrific position with Carol Co Pictures, like I said, and our first film, we've acquired Adrienne Barbeau's Love Bites, and I'm in talks with the Saska twins to helm the film as directors. So
I just get to sit on set and have them sit on my
You're not even going to be on set. Restraining order for that. Now, I have a movie called Zombie Killers that just came out on Tuesday, thank you, and Jurassic City. I had 2 films come out February 3rd. I have a witch movie I start called Wretched in April, and we start Zombie Killers 2, the sequel, in June, and then I go into Love Bites in September. So, you know,
there's something we're working
really
on.
fun. Yeah, and I produced a movie called No Solicitors, and that's coming out too with Eric Roberts.
Something we're working
And I'm not working on anything with him. No. He'll be in all the films, all the Carol Co movies. Oh yeah, and there's a movie that we're going to co-produce called The House That Wept Blood, and oddly enough, it was a David Hess film. Rest his soul.
Last House on the Left.
Last House on, yeah, he was Krug in Last House on the Left. So The House That Wept Blood will be a project that we team up on.
Well, we thank you for your time. It's a horror film that, you know, is not only iconic, but it's meaningful to so many people in so many different ways. You two are class acts, and you're great people, and we thank you for your time. Go see these guys at their table.
Yeah!
Thank you guys.
Hey guys, be sure to come back tonight at 10:30 for karaoke with yours truly and the one and only Felissa Rose. So you guys make sure you're back here for karaoke starting at 10:30 tonight.
That's where we're gonna be at. Fuck yeah, dude. This stick so I can get this shot right here.